Today's video dedication is brought to you with thanks from Dan Kirch. Mishra versus Minsk and Boo with a 3-lander and some ramps, some means of haste and even removal. That's pretty good. Turn 1 Tinderwall from our opponent. And we draw into a Jeska's Will, so just going to be a tap land here. It's worth noting that our opponent did play Yavimaya, so our fetches are going to tap for mana if we want them to. They get down a Firelight Thicket to fix their colours, and then sacrificing the Tinderwall so they can go straight in for the Minsk and Boo, and then putting plus counters on the Boo, so it's 4 commander damage we're going to receive here. They go down to 3 cards in hand, and we see a Mox Amber. And we draw into Dockside Extortionist. I'm thinking that the Mutavault is going to be useful to us here. So we'll get the Summoning Sickness away from that as soon as possible. That is a man land that becomes a 2-2 for 1 mana. Our opponent going through to combat, just leaving Boo at a 4-4 with haste and trample. Then choosing to sacrifice their Boo, so dealing damage to us and drawing up to 7 cards. Then it is Uvenwald Tracker and a Grum Gully, so yeah, the fast mana really helping them out here. Been way too fast for us, I think. Alright, a Chaos Warp, so we can deal with the commander. A Tainted Peak will tap for Rakdos mana thanks to the duel. So I think we go for the commander here. It will be a half decent blocker for us, and that will allow us to go Deadly Rollick, which will help us deal with the Uvenwald Tracker, I think is what we're aiming for here. Uvenwald Tracker obviously going to be able to fight things out of the way, especially with multiple plus counters from the commander and the Grum Gully. So yeah, we'll just have to pass at that and hope that we can catch our opponent up sometime this game. A Boo token being made at every upkeep, of course, comes in with an additional plus counter, so that's a 2-2. Then putting more plus counters on it, so bumping it up to a 5-5 with haste and trample. So not going to block, we'll just take 5 again. The Boo obviously isn't the commander here, so it's noteworthy that we're not taking commander damage. Minsk at 3 loyalty, and we start our turn. Going through to the draw step, our opponent could have some kind of removal for us. That is a Beast Within, which I'm guessing, yep, is going on to our commander. I was hoping that we could go for the Jeska's Will there. Tempting to go Chaos Warp onto our commander and try and get into something really good, but yeah, I think we just allow the Beast Within here. So I think we're best just Chaos Warping the Minsk at this point. Not much point in throwing out the Dockside Extortionist, unfortunately. So we can go through to our opponent's upkeep. Argument to be made for us allowing them to draw so that our Jeska's Will is better, but I think it's much better if we just Chaos Warp during the upkeep here. So allow Minsk and Boo to resolve, just in case they can sacrifice Boo at instant speed for some reason. And then we will Chaos Warp onto their commander and hope that they don't get into anything really good. Okay, Heroic Intervention, so going to keep their commander in play for now. So their permanents are hexproof and indestructible now, of course, so argument to be made for swinging in with the Grum Gully. Obviously wants to hold that back as a blocker, so 5 more damage onto us from the hamster. Then sacrificing that and dealing the 5 damage to our token. They go up to 8 cards in hand, 4 mana available. And there is a Forgotten Ancient, so more plus counter shenanigans. So throw out the Sulphurous Springs, I think. We just need to have our commander in play to make the Jeska's Will better at this point. And they have minus down their commander, so that triggers the Forgotten Ancient, putting a plus counter on itself. A hamster token is made. The Forgotten Ancient keeps hold of the counters that are on itself here. And now seeing a Wasteland, our opponent's got all kinds of answers for us here. I would think that would go onto the Mutavault, plussing on the Boo to put plus counters on it. And then it is an Elder Gargaroth, so yeah, just being able to minus down the Boo or the Minsk and put damage all over the place, and obviously the Boo keeps hitting us, and then being able to sacrifice that and draw a bunch of cards. It's card draw and a bunch of damage. It's everything you could ever want to do in a Grixis deck, or a Gruul deck I should say. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they've got us here. Pretty sure they had us since turn 2, but we'll see what we can get with this Jeska's Will. Okay, Plumb the Forbidden, don't really want to be losing much more life. So play out the Jeska's Will. And obviously target our opponent with that. 6 cards in hand. Plus counter on the Forgotten Ancient will exile the top 3 cards. We're pretty much looking for a board wipe here, I think. Although board wipe into Mutavault at their commander isn't really going to be all that useful to us because they can just wasteland it. There is a Kenzen Crucible, another fetch, and might as well play the Imperial Recruiter, I suppose. And then I suppose the only thing we can really go for here, we're already too far behind, so there's no real good tutor here. Ravenous Chupacabra on the Elder Gargaroth would be okay. Phyrexian Dragon Engine, if we had haste for it, might be alright, so we could meld, but even then I think it's too late. Loyal Apprentice gives us a Thopter to hit the Minsk. I think it's just Ravenous Chupacabra here. And play the Chupacabra, blowing up the Gargaroth with that. And then it can be a Marsh Flats, which we can tap for mana, and might as well just be the Legion War Boss here, I think. So we're eventually doing something. It's just taken us until turn 6 thanks to our opponent's fast start and being able to throw damage around, like I said. So we have to swing in with this Goblin, just send it in at the Planeswalker. They've got a 7/10 to block with now. We do drain our opponent, but I don't think that's going to make all that much difference. Forgot an Ancient this time, putting some counters onto the Boo tokens, so looking to trample through us at this point. Boo now up to an 11/11 with trample. So just swinging through with everything. I think, yeah, we lose either way here, don't we? Because they can tick down the Boo and deal a total of 22 damage to us, so let's just block with everything and force them to do it. So we go down to 12, and yeah, just about survive thanks to those blocks. So menacing down the Minsk, we go down to 1 because they sacrifice the Boo to deal 11 damage to us. They go up to 18 cards in hand. Okay, and then our opponent says that he has to go, so I think it's safe to assume that our opponent wins that one, but didn't finish us off unfortunately, so we'll try another game. Alright, see if we can finish a game this time up against Jasmine Boreal, which is a commander I've never heard of. We will keep that one because we've got lands and a means of card draw. We're also on the draw. And the Celestia player shocking in a shock land and then enchanting it with Utopia Sprawl. We see a Feed the Swarm, so could go for that onto the Utopia Sprawl if we think they are going to be reliant on that. Get down a tap land for now. And now seeing a Balaged Sanctuary come in tapped. A Loyal Apprentice is a decent play for us here, I think, so get that down, and not going to start making tokens yet, but it's ready for when our commander comes down in a couple of turns. We'll hit our opponent for 2 because it does have haste. And now a Palace Jailer, so going to become the Monarch and exile our Loyal Apprentice there. So maybe knocking them down by a mana wouldn't be the worst play here. We could go for the Cursed Mirror. That will ramp us, as well as exiling the Palace Jailer. And we'll be able to steal the Monarchy away from our opponent as well, because we'll get the Loyal Apprentice back. Although, Palace Jailer will make us the Monarch, won't it? Yeah, I think that's an alright play. So like I said, we become the Monarch, and we can swing in with our hasty creatures. And then obviously the Cursed Mirror turns back into a rock there, so yeah, taking the mana away might have been relevant. Garruk Primal Hunter deciding to tick that up first. We can try to take them away from ticking down the Garruk. They're trying to keep it alive when they tick it down, so let's go for the Haunted Ridge. And yeah, much as I don't want to waste feed the Swarm here, I think getting the Beast token out of the way and dealing as much damage as possible to Garruk so they can't tick it down is good. So we'll play out the Legion War Boss as well, so that we can take them below that 3 loyalty. The Legion War Boss does have to attack here, so go through to the attack phase. Both of our creatures that can attack go in at Garruk, and this sets us up nicely for getting down our commander next turn. So Garruk going down to 1 loyalty, they can obviously make a beast with that, but they cannot go for the minus and draw a bunch of cards once the commander comes down. And to the Monarchy we draw the Port Raiser. 3 visits from our opponent, 4 cards in hand, and then they drop a land after that, so might see their commander making a beast token first from the Planeswalker, and then going for Jasmine Boreal, which is just a vanilla 4/5. Okay, there's a Mutavault, so I'll get down the Mutavault. Won't be able to attack in with it this turn because it will have Summoning Sickness if we animate it, so I think we're fine to get down the Mishra at this point so that we can start making Thopter tokens, and should be able to get rid of the Garruk here thanks to the 2 Goblin tokens and the Loyal Apprentice. So I think we need to definitely go wide on the Garrick. Don't like killing off the Legion War Boss here, but I think it's more important to kill off the Garrick. So yeah, definitely going wide here. Triggers the Mishra so that our opponent loses some life. We'll put a plus counter on the Thopter because that's more likely to stick around this game. I suppose we could have held back a Goblin token there, just swung in with the one that has to attack in, put a plus counter on the Thopter, and in order to put the plus counter on would have had to swing in with the Legion War Boss. Didn't have to swing in with this one though. Alright, so let's go for the Goblin Engineer, which we should be able to make use of thanks to the Thopters that come in from the Loyal Apprentice. The Engineer allows us to entomb an artifact here, and it's the Phyrexian Dragon Engine we want. And then draw into a Bloodstained Mire at the end of the turn. And yeah, had a feeling our opponent was going to scoop there, went up to their 4th card in hand and didn't fancy their odds of doing anything against the Melded Commander. We have an Anger that we can't discard at the moment, so it was pretty much just tap down Goblin Engineer, sacrifice the Thopter, get out the Phyrexian Dragon Engine for just 1 mana, and then it would have been melded onto our commander to make Mishra lost to Phyrexia. Haven't seen the melded commander yet, so I'll try once more, but if we fail again, then that'll be it, I'm afraid. Alright, had games against this player many times over the years, and in recent weeks and months it's been Sisay Weatherlight Captain every single time, so don't hold out much hope for us actually doing anything this game, but we can certainly try. We've got some removals, so I'll keep hold of that one. We are on the draw. And our opponent has a turn 1 Elixir of Immortality with a Mystifying Maze, so no colours from them as of yet. Once again we draw into the Mutavault, so get out the tap land and pass. It's a Rith's Grove our opponent cast there, or played, so had to sacrifice the land that they just made. Let's go for the Urborg, and maybe tutoring up the Cabal Coffers is fine, seeing as how we're not doing anything else on this turn. Then it is a bounce land. The land's not looking too good here. Having to bounce the Rith's Grove, but once they play this they're going to have to sacrifice another land, so yeah, not sure what the idea is from our opponent. Hopefully we'll find out this game. A Rise of the Dreadman, we are nowhere near at the moment. I'll get down the Cabal Coffers so our opponent doesn't wheel it away or something. And we'll play the Krenko Tin Street Kingpin as our opponent sets up. So down comes the Mystifying Maze again. Oh, they have to, I think I said sacrifice with the layers before, they bounce them. So now getting down the Feyburrow Elder. So they are going to have a decent chunk of mana. It's just taking them a while to get to it, unfortunately. I think it might be worth a Bedevil here onto that thing. Play out the Mutavault to knock Summoning Sickness off it again. Then we'll tap down our Cabal Coffers for 4 mana. Get out the Talisman of Indulgence. Play ourselves a Bedevil onto the Feyburrow Elder so that they've got way less mana. And then I think we can entomb for our Dragon Engine at some point. We'll see what our opponent does. But I imagine that that's our target. Obviously swinging in with the Krenko there allows us into a couple of Goblin tokens. So tapping down the Mystifying Maze, in comes the Rith's Grove, and they tap it down for mana in response, then bouncing the Mystifying Maze again. A Shadow Heart, Dark Justicia. Okay, and into an Anger for us, we drop the Marsh Flats. Definitely want to see the Mishra here, I think. Decided not to entomb because we've got another turn cycle here and there's no particular rush for it, I don't think. So let's go after the Mishra, I think. Not going to be swinging in with the Mutavault. So play out the Mishra. We've got 2 mana floating here, so might as well go for Foretell onto Rise of the Dreadman. And we can even hold that up here in case our opponent goes for a board wipe. So swing in with Krenko and our 2 goblins, and Krenko will survive this. Mishra going to drain our opponent as well. Krenko gets the plus counter, which has it survive. Makes even more goblin tokens for us to swing in with. And we're looking to meld our commander next turn because we can entomb at the end of this turn onto the Dragon Engine. Obviously holding on to that because they could have a Scavenging Ooze or something. Some kind of graveyard hate. Replaying the Mystifying Maze again, and now we see Sisay Weatherlight Captain. They don't have all of their colours yet, although we are helping them with black thanks to the Urborg. So we'll make some more red mana with the Marsh Flats, and we'll go entomb for the Dragon Engine, throwing that into the bin. Going to make use of the Unearth. Okay, we see a Haunted Ridge, we can throw that down. Might as well get the anger into play here, I suppose, but first we want to see the Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Unearth does give it haste, thankfully, so we'll certainly make use of that. Alright, so instead of going for the anger there, was going to go Chaos Warp with the Phyrexian Dragon Engine on the stack and get rid of the Sisay. Hope that our opponent doesn't slam into something really good. And then we would have discarded the anger to hand size, giving everything haste, which it pretty much did anyway. And then we would have drawn 3 cards. That would have taken us into some good cards in Legion Warboss and Cursed Mirror again. And the Lightning Greaves for more haste. So through our next turn, just pretty much holding up Rise of the Dreadman. So if they did manage to wipe the board, we could have got a lot of zombies out and still been swinging in at our opponent. So unfortunately didn't see the meld from the Mishra claimed by Gix, but pretty much had it on our opponent there. It's just that they decided not to play it out, unfortunately. So hopefully you all enjoyed this revisit to the Meld Commander Mishra claimed by Gix. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up if you did, because that helps with YouTube's algorithms and pushes it out to other potential viewers. A big thank you goes out to the patrons as well for supporting the channel financially. I won't be doing this channel without them at this point, so it is very much appreciated. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.